So, picture this scenario. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Never a good time.
Right. It's the dead of winter. The temperature has completely plummeted outside, and you are curled up in bed, finally drifting off. And then you hear it.
The scratching.
Yes. That faint, persistent scratching sound coming from inside the drywall right next to your head.
It is universally unsettling.
It really is. And, the standard reaction for most of us is a quick trip to the hardware store for some snap traps or a reluctant call to an exterminator.
Which is completely understandable.
But today, we are taking a fundamentally different approach. Welcome to this deep dive, everyone. Our mission today is to help you understand the surprisingly scientific relationship between your home's insulation, its air sealing, and, well, those midnight rodent invasions.
It really is a brilliant intersection of disciplines. We're pulling from an incredibly diverse stack of sources today.
Oh, yeah. We've got everything from building science journals to university extension agricultural reports.
It's exactly. Plus economic threshold models and professional pest control manuals. The goal here is to overlay the physics of your home's envelope with the actual biology of the pests that are actively trying to break in.
Because usually upgrading insulation is almost entirely sold on the promise of lowering your heating bill.
Right, saving money.
But the data in these building science journals completely reframes the concept. It's not just about keeping the heat in, it's about engineering a biological fortress.
I love that term, biological fortress. Because when you map out how a house operates in the winter, that random scratching in the walls stops looking like just bad luck.
It becomes highly predictable.
Exactly. You have a pressure dynamic, a thermal gradient, and a very opportunistic biological agent.
So let's actually start with that biological agent, because the physical capabilities of rodents that are outlined in these university extension guides, it really sets the baseline for what you're up against.
They are essentially super rodents.
They really are. Take the adult house mouse. They can comfortably squeeze through a 1/4 inch gap.
Which is roughly the width of a standard wooden pencil.
Right. A pencil. They can also jump 18 inches straight up in the air.
And they can survive and actively reproduce in 24-degree weather as long as they have nesting material.
It's wild. But then you look at rats.
Oh, Norway rats and roof rats escalate those numbers considerably.
A rat only needs a 1/2 inch gap to get inside.
1/2 inch for an animal that size.
And they have a 36-inch vertical leap. Plus, the reports note they can tread water for 1/2 mile.
And dive through the water traps in your plumbing to literally emerge in your toilet.
Which is terrifying. And they can survive a 50-foot drop without injury. So, knowing all that, it becomes incredibly obvious why throwing down some poison bait is just a losing battle if your house is structurally compromised.
Those physical feats are impressive, but the real driving force is how they find your house in the first place. The building science sources introduce a critical dynamic here, which is the stack effect.
Or the chimney effect.
Right. We usually talk about the stack effect in terms of energy loss. Warm air inside your heated home naturally rises and escapes through the gaps in the attic and the roof.
Exfiltration.
Exactly. But here is where the pest behavior merges with the physics. That escaping warm air isn't just a loss of heat.
It's carrying the chemical signatures of your home.
Yes. It carries the vaporized scent of your pantry, your pet's food, the trash, even you.
So the house is actively operating as an invisible scent beacon.
Broadcasting a highly concentrated advertisement for warmth and food right into the freezing winter air.
And you have these rodents operating in a calorie deficit, freezing outside, and their olfactory pathways just lock onto this massive beacon coming from your roof line.
But the roof is rarely where they get in, unless we're talking about roof rats. The physics of the stack effect actually creates the entry pathway down at the bottom of the house.
Right, because of the vacuum effect.
Yeah, precisely. To replace all that warm air escaping at the top, the house pulls a negative pressure zone at the bottom. It draws freezing cold air in through foundation cracks and the rim joists.
That's infiltration.
And rodents are incredibly sensitive to these localized air currents. Their whiskers can detect fractional changes in air pressure. So they follow that cold draft pulling into the house, or conversely, a tiny jet of warm air pushing out of a crack.
They just follow the draft right to the source.
If they find an 1/8 inch crack in your foundation emitting that scent and warmth, their biology essentially tells them that survival is on the other side of that wall.
And that's what triggers the gnawing. They aren't just chewing on your house randomly.
No, they are excavating a highly targeted pathway, and their incisors are harder than iron. They will chew through pine, vinyl siding, even concrete block, until that tiny 1/8-inch fissure becomes a 1/4-inch access point.
They're following a roadmap drawn by your home's own air leaks?
Exactly. And once they breach the exterior and get into your wall cavities, they immediately hit the insulation.
Which brings us to the insulation battlefield. Are you building a mouse hotel or a hostile environment?
That's the perfect way to frame it.
There's this deeply unsettling laboratory study in the agricultural reports looking at standard fiberglass bats. The researchers built wall panels, insulated them with normal fiberglass, and introduced a mouse population.
The economic threshold study.
Yes. Over a single 6-month period, the fiberglass suffered a 46.4% decrease in its R value.
Nearly half of its insulating power was gone in 6 months.
Because fiberglass is so porous, it offers zero resistance to a burrowing mammal.
They don't eat it, they just mechanically destroy it. They tunnel through it, compact it to build nests, and saturate the whole thing with urine and feces.
And when they compact it, they destroy the trapped air pockets that actually make the fiberglass work. So you end up with these massive voids inside your walls where freezing air just washes right over your drywall.
And then there's a comprehensive German study that evaluated 12 different types of modern insulation.
And the conclusion there was pretty sobering, right?
Very. They found that no insulation material is 100% immune to gnawing if a rodent is highly motivated or trapped.
But the key difference is whether the material itself is a comfortable place to nest or actively hostile. So let's look at the modern alternatives to fiberglass, starting with cellulose.
Cellulose is fascinating. It's pulverized, recycled paper, but it's treated heavily with borates, up to 20% by weight.
Like boric acid.
Right. And that heavy borate load changes everything. It's highly irritating to a rodent's mucous membranes and respiratory tract. It makes the physical environment incredibly caustic for them.
And it disrupts their grooming behavior, too.
Massively. When they push through the cellulose, the borate dust sticks to their fur. Rodents are fastidious groomers, so when they clean themselves, they ingest the boric acid.
Which disrupts their digestion and triggers severe dehydration.
There was actually a no-choice laboratory test using tap insulation, that's thermal acoustical pest control, a specific brand of pesticide-grade cellulose. When confined with only that insulation, it resulted in a 100% mortality rate for termites and rodents.
The material itself becomes a structural defense.
Exactly.
Then you have closed-cell spray foam, which is a totally different approach. It's not a chemical deterrent, it's a structural sealant.
Right, it expands and cures into this dense, rigid plastic. It attacks the root cause of the stack effect.
Because it's an airtight seal.
Yes, it completely arrests the exfiltration of the scent beacon and the infiltration drafts. If a rat is running along your foundation, there's no thermal bleed drawing them in.
The house is basically invisible to them.
And even if they try to chew the cured foam, it offers no fibrous utility. They can't use it for nesting material.
The third category the sources highlight is mineral wool, or rock wool.
Which is spun from basalt rock and steel slag.
It's incredibly dense, totally inorganic.
Which is key. There's no food source for mold or insects. Plus, it's highly moisture resistant, so it won't absorb and hold the biological humidity that a rodent colony generates.
But all of this advanced insulation doesn't matter if your house has glaring holes on the outside.
No, it doesn't. Which brings us to exclusion engineering. The pest control manuals are very clear that this is the only actual permanent solution.
Because trapping is just a bandage. You have to mechanically seal the envelope. And we need to debunk a classic DIY myth right now.
The steel wool myth.
Yes. Everyone says to just stuff steel wool into a hole to keep mice out.
And it is a catastrophic failure point. Standard steel wool is highly reactive to moisture. The moment it's exposed to basement humidity or condensation around a pipe, it rusts.
It oxidizes and just crumbles into powder.
And a determined rat will simply pull the degraded clump right out of the wall.
The professional upgrade for this is something like Xcluder fill fabric.
It looks similar, but it's a patented blend. Of course, stainless steel mesh interwoven with synthetic polyfibers.
So the stainless steel doesn't rust.
Right, and the synthetic fibers give it this spring-back tension. When you pack it into a void, it continuously pushes outward, locking itself into place. It's excruciating for them to chew, and they can't pull it loose.
The building science manuals outline this ultimate 3-step layered exclusion method for sealing utility pipes.
The layered approach is critical. Step 1 is the core plug. You stuff the gap heavily with that stainless steel fill fabric.
That's your physical barrier. Step 2 is the air seal.
You cover the mesh with a high-density expanding foam or caulk. And the manuals explicitly warn never to use expanding foam by itself.
Because rodents will just chew right through the foam.
Exactly. It must be paired with the metal mesh. The foam stops the draft and the scent beacon, and the hidden steel mesh destroys their teeth if they try to dig through the foam.
And step 3 is the mechanical finish.
You cap the whole thing with a rigid metal escutcheon plate, firmly anchored to the wall.
Defense in depth.
Exactly.
And while you're sealing those pipes, the data points to one specific area of the house that is the ultimate superhighway for rodents.
The rim joist.
Yes, that's the perimeter where the house framing meets the concrete foundation.
Building Science Corporation flags the rim joist as the second biggest area for heat loss in a house, right after the attic. It's inherently leaky, and stuffing a regular fiberglass bat against it is worse than doing nothing.
It just creates a cozy, warm nest the second a mouse gets past the foundation.
The best practice here is called picture framing. You use closed-cell spray foam to run a continuous airtight seal around the perimeter of every single joist cavity.
Which shuts down the air leaks.
Completely. And then you fill the core of the cavity to an R13 or R14 value. You solve a massive energy penalty and eliminate your ground-level scent beacons all at once.
This seamlessly brings up a critical point about moisture synergy. This isn't just about pests and heat loss.
No, a leaky home is a biological system in decline.
Right, because rodents are essentially little biological engines. They generate body heat, they exhale water vapor, and they dump urine into the fiberglass.
And porous fiberglass absorbs and holds all that moisture right against your wooden wall framing.
Which spikes the relative humidity inside the wall.
And creates the perfect microclimate for wood rot and mold. The rodents destroy the insulation. The broken insulation traps the moisture, and the moisture rots the house.
The reports heavily highlight dirt crawl spaces as a massive driver of this decay. They just constantly pump ground moisture up into the house.
Which pests actively seek out. The definitive intervention is crawl space encapsulation.
Laying down a heavy polyethylene vapor barrier over the dirt.
Usually 6 to 20 mil thick. You seal it across the ground and up the interior foundation walls, and then insulate those walls with rigid foam.
It completely cuts the house off from the earth's moisture.
You drop the humidity below the survival threshold for pests and stop that damp draft from rising into your floors.
Let's look at how all these theories compound in the real world. The sources gave us a fantastic case study of an attic that was severely infested.
Multi-year infestation. Trapping had repeatedly failed.
So they brought in a firm that used a 5-step building science approach. Step 1 was a complete extraction.
They vacuumed out every trace of the contaminated fiberglass. You have to remove the chemical roadmaps left by previous generations of mice.
Step 2 was air sealing the attic floor. They use expanding foam to seal the plumbing chases and top plates to stop the stack effect.
Physically shutting down the scent beacon.
Step 3, they built a raised storage platform.
Because just throwing plywood over insulation compresses it and creates hidden voids for mice to live in.
Right. Step 4, they blew in 14 inches of that clibor. Borate-treated cellulose.
Creating a chemically hostile environment.
And finally, step 5, they installed a gasketed seal on the attic hatch.
The outcome was total structural resilience. No more mice.
But the real kicker is the return on investment. The homeowner's energy bills dropped by nearly 50%.
It perfectly proves the thesis. You can't win a war of attrition with traps. Permanent pest control is an architectural endeavor. Upgrading your insulation and air sealing is a structural defense mechanism that literally pays for itself.
So if you hear scratching in your walls, look past the symptom. Evaluate your rim joists, audit your attic, and recognize that your house is actively interacting with the ecology outside.
I want to leave you with a final, fascinating concept to ponder, drawn from the logical extreme of all this data.
Let's hear it.
We have spent centuries trying to build stronger, thicker physical walls to keep nature out. But considering the physics of the stack effect and these chemical scent beacons, what if the future of home design isn't about building a thicker fortress?
What would it be?
What if the future is about designing structures that are entirely invisible to the biological world? Homes so perfectly sealed and pressure balanced that they simply don't emit the sensory signals that tell nature we are even there.
Structures totally invisible to the biological world. That is an incredible way to look at the future of building science. Thank you for joining us on this exploration. We hope you walk away with a completely new understanding of the science securing the roof over your head. Catch you on the next deep dive.